What's one of the most important considerations you have to make as a concert photographer? That consideration is what camera you're going to use and the system that supports it. And today in this video, we cover lenses. I'm Robert Maxfield. I've been a concert photographer in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas since 1977. And over the years, I've shot with just about everything. In fact, I've got a list. I don't even think it's complete, but I've got a list. I've shot with Pentax, Olympus, Nikon, Minolta, Canon, Sony, Yashica, Leica, Petri, and Rolleiflex, just to name a few. And over the years, so I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different lenses. I've shot some third-party lenses and those kind of things. Over the years, I've used accessories that were third-party and manufactured. And today, we're going to cover a little bit of mystery that's involved in those accessories. I'll make no bones about it. I am a Nikon shooter when I work. I love the Nikon system. It is amazing. Doesn't make me a Nikon fanboy, but I do enjoy it and I do like it. There are some advantages and pluses to it. But I will let you know also, I own Canon cameras. I have Sony cameras. I've got cameras of other brands and other manufacturers and equipment that I do use. And we're going to cover a little bit about the systems and the selection of the system that I chose. And we're going to cover a little bit of what to look for in a lens for using it during live concert photography. So hold tight. Hey, check out our website and drop us a note at our email contact. I want you to know we're using a new camera today. It's put out by a company. It's called an E-Meet, and I love the picture quality out of it. It's fantastic. The sound, I'm not real happy about. I think we got a little bit of tweaking to do, so we're going to be working on that. So please bear with us. Be patient. Yeah, I know. I got a couple people that don't like the sound of what I produce, but hey, man, I'm trying. So we're going to do that. We're going to use this camera and see how it works. The first thing I'm going to cover is whether you should use a prime or a zoom lens. And it's real simple. With a prime, you've got one set focal length, and with a zoom lens, you've got multiple focal lengths. So a zoom is by far more versatile. Typically, price difference, it's hit or miss. It doesn't, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. It just depends. But with a prime lens, you have to be in the right position wherever you use it to take the photograph or be able to crop and edit, and it's more difficult to work with. In the early days, it used to be really good to have them because they were sharper and crisper and better built. This is an example of my 200 millimeter f3.5 prime telephoto, and this is a third-party machine. This one was is built or marketed by Soligar, and it's from the 1980s. And I used it a lot, and I loved my Olympus equipment. I'm still upset about my Olympus equipment, but I love the lenses and the capabilities. So one of the advantages of the zoom is you don't have to move. You can physically stay in the same place and move the focal length of the lens in and out. And today you really don't pay that much of a penalty when you use a zoom lens in sharpness and ability. The one thing that you will have a difference in is lens qualities, and there's several different lens qualities, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Thank you for viewing, and please like and subscribe. Before I do that, I really wanted to show you, this is an Olympus Zuiko 28 millimeter f2.8, and as you can see, it is tiny as far as sizing today's comparison. So a lens like this today would be 3 times as big and 3 times as heavy. But it also have a lot of electronics in it as far as autofocusing and camera communications back and forth for the metering and setting f-stops and all that stuff. So a lot of things have changed during time with the construction of the lenses. Some lenses even have what they call image stabilization. None of the lenses that I have or use has image stabilization. I'm not a big fan of it. It's me personally. So now we're going to talk zoom lens. Check out my Instagram at Robert C. Maxfield. Use the Nikon system as a base so that you get an idea. And as a general rule, camera manufacturers make lenses in different grade levels or qualities. They make it for the absolute amateur, the prosumer, and the professional. And one of the things you need to look for is what level of lens that you want to use. So, for example, you'll see a lens that'll say Tamron, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What grade is that particular lens? You'll see Nikon or Canon, this level lens, that level lens. What level lens and quality is the lens? For example, this is a Nikon D70S, and it's got a 35 to 80 f4, f5.6 zoom lens on it. And one of the things about it is if you look at the lens mount is nylon or plastic. Okay, that is normally a sign of a less expensive construction lens. Also, when you see it go up and down like that, the lens goes in and out, that allows dust and dirt and debris to be sucked into the lens system itself. So it takes more maintenance and it needs to be cleaned. A comparative from the same time frame, a 28-105, which is a little bit wider, a little bit longer. It also has the same kind of construction, but the difference is this one has a metal mount. So this lens is far more expensive to build and create. It has better optics. It's just a general better lens all the way around. But when you hear the term kit lens, this is what you normally consider as your kit lens, something that's affordable, doesn't cost very much. It gets you into the camera and gets you up and operating. And that's what this lens is. Now, we're going to show you a long throw zoom lens just a second. This lens on one of my D800s is a 75 to 240. It's been replaced by the 70 to 300 zoom. And this is a entry-level long to medium, short to medium zoom lens. And this lens, when I bought it, was right around 200, 250. It's been a while, but one of the things about it also, it's got that nylon lens mount, and the construction is a whole lot lighter. You'll notice it has a long throw, just like the other zoom, the short wide angle to short telephoto zoom that I showed you. And one of the things that really gets me about the lens is it's a little bit softer, and the colors that it produces are not near as good. It's an f4.5, f5.6, so it's not what they call fast. But if you're using it for concert photography on an entry-level basis, this will work. Okay, you don't have to have fast lenses, f2.8, f1.8, f1.4. This will work in the right conditions. If you're at an outdoor festival, what do you care? You don't have to have the fast lenses or stuff. It will work. Now, in comparison, the prosumer, not actually prosumer, the Pro Nikon 80 to 200 is a lot better lens. If you notice, when I move the zoom in and out, the camera body does not extend. So that means all the zooming is done internally. So no dirt and dust and gunk will get involved in the movement of the mechanism. Also, it has a stainless steel or metal type lens mount, which is sturdier. This lens, oh boy, this lens is a tank. It weighs a ton. So I will tell you, it is going to be a lot heavier to haul around than this lens, but the quality of performance is night and day different. So be aware that every camera manufacturer has 2 or 3 different lens levels of what they sell you. They sell you the one for the entry level beginner, one for a midline, prosumer, amateur, hobbyist, and then they sell you the professional unit. And there's quite a difference in quality and quite a difference in cost. So let's go to the Sony line. When I bought this Sony ZV-E10, which is right here now, one of the big selling features the salesperson was telling me is that you could mount just about anything on it, from a screw mount camera lens from the 1960s to, which would be, I got one running around the house somewhere, I'm looking for it. It's a JCPenney 135 f2.8 to a Zeiss lens, portrait lens, an 85 millimeter f1.2. Difference in cost, man. Difference between a Volkswagen Beetle and say a Bugatti, something like that, a Lamborghini. A lot of cost difference and a lot of performance difference. But the big deal with it is, with that cost difference, nobody out there tells you what the lens quality difference is. You'll see on the forums, hey man, what's the best lens between this, and this? And people will say, this one's great, this one's great, this one's great. How many people have actually tried all the lenses? How many people own all the lenses? If you own how many people own a Tamron 70 to 24 to 70 f2.8? How many own a Sigma 74 to f2.8? And how many use them? And how many are qualified to tell you what the quality of that lens is and the performance? Not very many. So that's a big issue, is people telling you about the lens. Only thing they can tell you is what the performance level they think they have gotten and received with the lens, whether they like it or not. So that's basically about it. So in cameras, one of the most important things is figuring out if the line of cameras, Nikon, Canon, Sony, whatever, has the lenses in the levels that you need. If you need prime lenses, does that camera manufacturer offer those lenses? Does the camera manufacturer offer zoom lenses that you need in the zoom ranges you want? Does that particular camera manufacturer own, or do they make or have the lenses in the price point that you want? Okay, can you get a lens at, say, I want a lens, I want to do this, and this. Do I have a choice between a $500 lens, a $1,000 lens, a $2,000 lens, a $3,000? Do I have the choice of quality levels in which I want to use? So and select. It's a big important thing. Along with the price point in which the lenses come in at, is the quality of the lens that you want to purchase at that price point what you actually want it to be. I know everybody would like to have a lens at the $100 price point. Not going to happen. But, if I presented with 2 lenses, one at $450 and one at $850, is it worth the difference to jump up to the $850 lens? Does it have the features I want? Does it have lens stabilization? Does it have, is it fast enough for what I want it to do? Is it constructed well and have weather sealing and heavy construction? Does it have internal throw for the zoom? Those kind of features, when you look at a camera lens, you have to take and weigh, is it worth the money difference between, say, $450 and $1,250? Once you get past the physical qualities and performance of the lens as far as construction, you have to ask, is the picture quality that I'm getting from one lens that much better than another? I have used at one time. I used third-party lenses. I used Solagor simply because I couldn't afford anything else. I mean, I'd love to have had Zuiko lenses or Nikkor lenses during that time frame, but I just flat couldn't afford them. So, does the camera lens have the performance that is acceptable to you? Okay, you got to buy the best at what you're going to have as far as lens quality. That's what I would suggest. Within reason, you got to be able to afford it. So it doesn't matter how many lenses that are out there that Nikon, Canon, Sony produce that are in the 70 to 200 range. If they're $2,000 to $5,000 and I can't afford them, they're going to sit on the shelf and I'm not going to be able to work with them because they'll never see my camera. So at that point, then you're going, well, if I can't afford the manufacturer's brand actual lenses, what do the third parties have that I could use? So you look at Sigma, or you look at Rokinon, or you look at Tamron, or whoever else that you look at and see what the qualities match up and what you could afford. Put the money that you're going to use, the lens you're going to use the most, spend the money on. Put that money into the workhorse of your system so that you're able to get the best picture quality most of the time, because that's the camera, that's your go-to camera and that's your go-to lens. And that's what I'd suggest. It doesn't make any sense to have an $8,000 8mm fisheye as a camera lens, and then all your other camera lenses be under $200 in poor quality. Put the camera and the lens money into the things that are going to matter and are going to work the hardest. And that's the way to go.